Welcome back. A couple of these mid-caps actually are spiking even as the Nifty is just flattened out. Strides Pharma is up almost 5% We have Trent, which has recovered a fair bit from the lows, and Page Industries too has recovered from the lows, currently sitting with a mild gain, but then again from the lows it has gained about 1.5% at the high point of trade. But the toast of today's trading session has been the metals pack. Better than Manisha to tell us about all things commodities and specifically metals. Manisha, what's happening? Take it away.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that. Absolutely, metals do take it away. It's November was a month, it was the best in 2022, and even before that, for that matter. And December has started on a very positive note yet again. So you are looking at a 4-month highs in case of copper, and the other metals as well trading on multi-month highs. That's the dollar index on your screen there, where we have seen another 0.25% of a decline coming in. So a 4-month lows on dollar index clearly has been supportive for many of these dollar-denominated commodities. But let's take it to Jonathan Barratt. He's CIO at Probis Securities, and he joins us on the show now. Jonathan, while the last week was eventful, and what a weekend it has been, as all eyes were glued on to Sunday's OPEC's meeting on what would they come out with. Not too much in sense of statement there, except that they've kept it absolutely unchanged. So what we are seeing is 2 million barrels per day of a cut that we've seen in November to continue into 2023 as well. Was it OPEC way of waiting on the sidelines, watching out on what really happens with European Union, G7, etc. on Russian sanctions?
Yeah, Manisha, good morning. Look, 100% agree with you there on the sideline waiting. Remember, it is OPEC plus, and we know that plus means Russia. When you look at G7 and EU, what they've done and what they've decided to do on oil, the oil cap at $60 a barrel, plus also the banning of seaborne oil from Russia. I think the key that we're all going to focus on is how will Russia retaliate, and also how will this support what OPEC have actually done. So there's a few questions, and I think you're 100% right. OPEC just on the sideline. Let's see what Russia does. Mind you, I don't think it's going to be all that negative, but I think if anything, you might see a little bit of a bump into the top side in the oil price.
Oh, well, absolutely. Jonathan, 80% of the global countries import crude, and nearly 50 countries import crude from Russia. I mean, in whatever quantities, really. And if, I was trying and sitting and doing the maths, 27 countries in European Union, and then some G7, and then add some countries. So that perhaps takes you to 30, 35 countries there. What's your sense? I mean, I know it's just, guesswork, but what's your sense on what Russia could do?
Look, I do understand, just create a lot of noise. And I think that'll sort of see the market a little bit higher. Remember, Russia continues to receive dollars on sales. Remember, Russia also discounts its price quite heavily. And I think that's where we'll find a little bit of discussion on the trade cap, on the cap for the price of oil. I think it's really going to be interesting to see what they actually do. But I don't think that Russia's going to lie down and just do nothing. They're going to turn around whatever it'll be, or whatever they'll do. If anything, I think they'll turn around and the retaliation will be to those countries which are supporting the cap in any way. Now, that could be for anything. It could be palladium, it could be oil, it could be copper, it could be natural gas, as we know. So I think there is a play out there that could see prices for oil have a bit of a test to the top side as a result of what we're seeing, what Russia will do.
Oh, absolutely. So what's your sense on how the prices could move, the range for the rest of December then?
Look, I'll tell you what, I've been quite interested and have been interested in the bounce that we saw, particularly on the Brent and the WTI. We did see that bounce the other day, and I think that cemented a very important low for us. And I think if the market can remain above those lows, basis 75 on the WTI, and I think with Brent it was down to that 82.50. So if it can stay above those levels, then I think we'll have a test to the top side. So I still see it ranging, but I think that we've established the lower end. Let's see what the higher end will come in. And I probably think WTI, basis WTI, probably see it sort of head back to that $82 a barrel. And that'll obviously see Brent a little bit higher as well. But I don't see it a remarkable movement, but I think it'll be still within the ranges that we've seen.
All right. That takes us to metals then, and what a super run-up that we've seen coming from, from the kind of lows that we established in 2022. I guess the dollar index has been declining, but would you say the major card really is from China, where we do see COVID restrictions being eased back from these current levels as well? How much of can further play come in from China? How much would you look at in sense of percentage for the US Fed meeting as well?
Look, I think, but generally speaking, the most important thing there is China in the mix, particularly with your base metals. Remember, copper is something that we're really focused on. There is not a lot of supply of copper out there. So let's really see what if the relaxing of COVID rules in China gives a sense of relief. Remember, we've had some pretty negative numbers out of China recent economic numbers. So I think they're feeling the pinch. And if they do open things up a little bit more, then I think that will be supportive of some of our commodities. Yes, the US dollar index is a major factor there. Expect that to remain where it is. But at the moment, I think some of those base metals, particularly that copper, there is risk to the top side on that. And I'm supportive of copper into 2023, moving to the top side. There is not a lot of supply there. If economies pick up, that metal's going to have a run.
All right. Apart from copper, are you betting on silver as well? Because what a strong run up on that too. $23 per ounce is back.
Oh, look, it's been a great run for silver and for gold. There's no doubt about it. I think gold's sort of been attracted to, obviously, those like more of a Russian play in terms of debt and defaulting and basically being void of interest or US dollar bonds. So I think you're seeing still a lot of central bank buying in the precious metal markets, particularly gold. Yes, you're going to see a weak dollar, but I think you'll find the central banks to those economies or those rogue economies that the US thinks will be worried about losing those interest repayments from the US because those bonds will be void. And as a result of that, they want to shore up their own economies. So I think gold is a major player there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jonathan. Manisha, thank you so much for joining in and giving us all the updates in the commodities arena. Shifting focus back to the equities right now. The Nifty is back below that 18,700 mark. The stock that took it above that 18,700 mark and the one that took it below 18,700 are the same. It is Reliance. Just pull up the intraday chart of Reliance and you'll see there's a major spike from the lows on the counter, and because of its weight on the index, the Nifty moved higher. And while it stayed in the red throughout, it has now fallen from the highs that we saw just a few minutes ago, as well, as a result of which the Nifty back again near that flat line. So that tug of war between call writers at 18,700 and put writers at 18,650 continues for the market. We wrap up on this edition of Halftime Report. You stay tuned. Business Lunch will take all the market action ahead.